Today we're going super deep into YouTube SEO, how to rank your video number one in search for your terms, and how to be successful in constructing a really great dynamic and script and structure for both your channel and your individual YouTube videos. I sit down with Josh Howard to go super deep into podcasting and YouTube for B2B businesses. I hope you enjoy this conversation. Josh dropped tons of value bombs and even did a teardown of the Castos YouTube page, as well as contrasting it with the Ahrefs page, which I think is kind of like industry standard for like B2B SaaS greatness on YouTube. Josh was super helpful in helping us all understand how we can level up our game on YouTube. I sincerely hope you enjoy this conversation with Josh Howard. So Josh, as I look at growing our SaaS company, Castos, brand and brand recognition and name is probably more important than ever, right? ChatGPT and the kind of erosion of SEO. I know you have an SEO background. I think has made word of mouth and brand so important. And YouTube is tops of the list when it's like, hey, how can we establish a brand and how can we differentiate ourselves from, in our industry in particular, super freaking competitive. There's a bunch of people out there that do largely similar things that we do. How do you see SaaS companies or tech and B2B folks do brand really well with YouTube?
Yeah, I think one of the hardest parts, and I remember a few years ago, I was working with a SaaS company, and I saw one of the most unusual ways, which we can probably talk about later. But a lot of it, as you said, coming from an SEO background many years ago, the same rules apply. Like, right? So when you look at Google and SEO, it's like expertise, authority, trust, and then they added an E this year. A lot of that translates to YouTube. And so a lot of people are... The mistake that I see a lot of companies make is they just want to sell something on YouTube. They just think like, I'll be able to go there, use SEO, and I'll be able to show up. That's like the complete opposite of how it works on YouTube, especially nowadays. So the best companies are out there. They're just giving free information away. They're providing solutions. They're not trying to sell something up front. And I think what a lot of brands miss is that people don't go to YouTube to spend money. They go there for free information. And so the best companies that I see on YouTube are the ones that are willingly giving up breadcrumbs, right? They're providing you with those solutions. And some of those companies, their product offers that solution. And it's a great way to kind of say, here's one way to do it. I've seen some businesses kind of fail that way. Most notably, one was like a shirt printing press company, which was interesting. That was more B2C. But the best companies are out there. They're offering up solutions and they're doing it for free, and they're willing to give away that information, because most people on YouTube, and we probably talk about this at length, but most people on YouTube are not coming there to just be like, hey, I want to buy something. They're coming there to look for a solution. It's just like, Can you lead them down that path? And that's why structuring yourself on YouTube can be really important.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because that is the question, right? Is top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of the funnel. Maybe phrase it in terms of buyer awareness is like not even aware they have a problem, aware they have a problem, aware there's a solution. Most aware is like, you are probably the solution, but they're just checking price or reviews or something like that. Like, where in either of those paradigms, right? The funnel or the customer, awareness journey, like where do you put most of your YouTube content if you're a brand like us?
That's a good question. That's a really tough one. So one thing that I've learned in working with a bunch of companies, right, is that YouTube is there for every part of your channel. It can be start of funnel, it can be end of funnel. What most people don't realize about this is that it's actually middle. And this is something that I've experienced, because a lot of companies are like, they want to see results. And I'm like, well, are we using tracking codes? Are we using all these things to know where they're at in their journey? So what happens is that I normally look at YouTube as like kind of like a little bit of everything. You can't just go make like, I see a lot of companies are like, oh, we have 10 videos lined up and then we just want them to exist and hope that SEO works. I'm like, I won't work with you. Like, that's just not how it works, right? So I look at different things, because the way that I look at it is, what is the video's purpose? Are we trying to get awareness and just so that people know who we are? If so, that is a case study. That is a whiteboard. That is something entirely different. If we're trying to build trust, we can do that along with our authority. And so, and of course, you're throwing the expertise and experience all in there. So I will normally have videos that are very specific purposes. And so when I work with people, I'll put a Notion doc, and in one of those columns with businesses, it's like, what is the purpose of this video? What is the intent? Are we just trying to have people discover who we are, or are we trying to convert people? And there's two different ways to do that. And as much as I go away from SEO, SEO does play a thing. So what I'll do is we'll do certain videos that are just for awareness. And so it's like broad-based videos that we just wanted to hit somebody's homepage. We wanted to hit their suggested, somebody that's in that space. Doesn't have to be a huge video, just has to be something that people, you're not trying to get them to search for it, even though they could. Yeah. But then if I want to be more conversion based, I'm actually making SEO oriented videos that are answering questions. And, you know, we know about Also Ask, we know about Answer the Public, things like that. You can use Google Trends, different ways to figure out what people are searching for in your space. And then we're going to target that. And the beauty of what I do, coming from the background that I have, is like, and this is something that is, I don't want to say like I'm special in what is doing this, but I have a track record that goes back a long time, is that I don't want my YouTube videos to only appear on YouTube. I know ways to get it to appear on Google search. And that's where I think a lot of people miss in terms, they just think SEO, but there's actually some like neat little tricks you can do, is to try and have that crossover. And so like, that's really like, I look at it in different parts of like, I'm constructing videos with very specific purposes. And it's normally a blend of each of those, because if you're not getting awareness, you're only getting search. And if you're only getting search, you're extremely limited. There's a cap every month that you can go and figure out what that is. Say, this is the amount of people that will get there. And I don't even know if my video is going to rank or somebody else is going to show up there. So you're severely limiting your audience. And there's a whole bunch of things that go into the awareness side and how you can connect the dots on that. That's like my biggest thing on YouTube as a business, is like, are you connecting the dots? Because I want to speak to one specific YouTube part. On YouTube, especially 2023 and going forward, 2024, if you are not getting a return viewership, if you just have a one-off video, let's say it's not a search-based video, and you don't bring somebody back or you don't offer them something else, you have no idea if they'll watch another one of your videos. And YouTube is a very performance-based system. So a lot of people make these one-off videos that are specifically about just like one thing, but they don't tie it to anything else. And so that video fails. It doesn't keep people on YouTube, and everything falls apart. And that is the biggest speed bump for businesses, is not understanding that concept of YouTube.
Okay. You said a whole bunch of stuff there that I want to unpack, because I don't understand it all. One is you can figure out the kind of TAM, I guess, total addressable market, or search potential of your channel or your topic. How does that work generally?
Yeah, so you can use a couple different things. If you are a business, you can use things like SEMrush, SEMrush. You can use those tools. I think it's SEMrush that has the YouTube volume. vidIQ has that. I like to use Google Trends. So Google Trends has a drop-down. You can switch between Google and YouTube, so you can get a little bit more there. Also Asked is probably the best way if you're doing SEO-based videos, because you can literally match up word for word what people are looking for in your industry and Ask the Public. Those are the best ways to kind of go down that path. And if you're a business, you can also use Google Search Console and figure out how people are finding you on Google. There's a lot of different ways, but I would say be lazy, download the vidIQ app, and then look for search volume.
Yeah, gotcha. So I could look for best podcasting mic, and it would show up 200,000 people search for it in the last month. I do a video about it. I know I can get a percentage of that. That's kind of the math, right? Yeah. Okay, got it. The other thing you mentioned, that two other things. One is, and just don't let me forget, one is YouTube being middle of funnel. And I think about it as middle of funnel too, but for a different reason. But the first thing I want to talk about is connecting the dots, because I think that will talk to middle of the funnel, that kind of concept. So we do a lot of SEO too, right? Written on page SEO. And one thing that I'm always struggling with conceptually is one keyword, one article, one time, right? Like I only can publish this one article about podcast gear or best podcast editing service one time. And I can't ever duplicate that, because then I get slapped by Google and everything. And so we think that there's this one piece of content, and if we need to revise it or something, that's fine. That the concept is different with YouTube, right? Because you can only publish a video once. And if you need the 2024 podcast guide or gear guide, you got to do a whole new video. So that's like a part of the overall kind of thing I struggle with, which is the balance of like evergreen and timely content with the connecting the dots. Because if you're saying like, hey, okay, I've never thought about it. It makes total sense. I want to construct a natural buyer journey, right? Somebody comes in here and then they go here and here and here and here. But if those steps just go away or get replaced, how do we as like content managers think about that? To say like, okay, I need these 7 videos to walk someone through the buying journey. But unlike a blog post where it's always those 7 URLs and tracking and all that crap, 4 of those will get replaced every year because they're, annual listicles or something.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I want to bring up something that a lot of people I think don't realize about YouTube is that if you look at the traffic sources on YouTube, you've got browse, which is what most exists. That's your homepage. You got suggested, up next, sidebar, things like that. You have search, which if you're a search-based channel, that might go higher up the list. And then channel pages. Channel pages is your storefront on YouTube. And what people don't realize is that channel pages is either your 3rd or your 4th highest impression source. So it doesn't mean it's your highest traffic source because most people don't construct that correctly. And that's one of the reasons why I say it's middle of the funnel. A lot of people watch a video and then go to your channel page. A lot of people go from your website to your channel page. And the click-through rates on a good channel page and a bad channel page are what gets there. And I want to tie that into what you're talking about is playlists exist and they do really well on channel pages. And so if you do have to replace videos, that's probably the first place that you're going to look to surface that. And there's a lot of things you can do with analytics in playlists and things like that. Probably a much longer conversation than what we would have here.
We're going to be having you back on. Don't worry. We'll get another shot at it.
Yeah. But I don't think that, so if you can construct playlists, and be able to formulate kind of like that plan. It's like, if I have this video, most things are going to exist through call to actions. And you're going to basically tell them where to go. And that's the thing is, if you are constructing your outros really well as a business, which most people don't, and sure, I definitely want to get into that part on the way to craft outros.
That's on my list,
at some point. But if you can like redo those videos, verbal CTAs are one of the most powerful things on YouTube. And so that's how you can like reconnect the dots in a different way. So you can still go back to that evergreen content with that same CTA, something different. So I think there's a couple different ways to play around that. I would say that if you are planning on existing on YouTube, you either make a ton of evergreen content or you have to understand that as that calendar year rolls around or you're trying to do that, that you are going to have to make updated content. And that's just part of the process.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, in the last episode, we talked about beginning of the year is coming. We need the 2024 podcast gear guide and best, X for 2024. And I'm like, in a way, cool, because I don't have to figure out what to shoot this week. In a way, man, if you think about running this for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, like you do 10 of those same videos to do it once a year. That's kind of daunting, but it's also a cool opportunity because again, unlike blogging where you just replace that same existing page, you just shoot a whole new one. Really, really practically with like the elements you can use within a video, like the end cards and the whatever you call it at the top, like the CTA banners.
Those
is
are the
that
cards
how
you get the end screen? Yeah.
Is that how you would direct someone to a new piece that has changed since you shot that video originally? Like, hey, go check out our updated guide here, or have the end screen be different? Is that the mechanism you would use?
Yeah. So that same Notion document that I referenced earlier, there's a column that says like, what video am I connecting this to? Yeah. You're planning this out weeks ahead of time. Normally you're going to make batch content, right? I want to make 4 to 5 videos that are all closely related in some way so that when I'm on video 3, guess what I can call back to? Video 1 and 2. I can put those into a playlist, which is highly digestible of 4 to 6 videos. If you see a playlist with 15 videos, are you clicking into that? Probably not. I don't think many people have time to click into a 15 video playlist, but if you can create like digestible stuff, it's like, if my CTA is, hey, like, you can craft outros, but if you want to go through the full structure, like check out this 4 video playlist I got. And you'll be able to get a full understanding. This video these 4 short videos to get you through the whole process. They each can stand on their own, but now like I have it to where like they're all connected. And so like that's kind of how I look at it. And getting that going.
Yeah, gotcha. Want to talk about the concept of kind of YouTube as middle of funnel. I always talk about, there's this inverted pyramid, right? Where at the top you have awareness, right? And for me, in my mind, that's social media usually, right? Social to in the middle tier is YouTube and podcast, because for a lot of our customers, it's the same thing, right? Like for this, right? This is going to be a podcast and it's going to be on YouTube. And then the website is the bottom of the funnel, right? But you're saying that the top of the funnel a lot of times is the website. They go out to YouTube and then they come back to the website. Is that mostly kind of like search is driving the top there, and then the middle is like engagement and getting to love people, and then they come back to the website to convert? Is that the journey?
Yeah. So I focus a lot on what is the natural user's behavior. And it's different for different channels. And I've really been able to hone in on this. I've been working, I can't say who they are, but I've been working with a large startup channel since January. And they are very sign up based. We'll leave it at that. And if I wanted to learn more about your company, go into your website. But this day and age, depending on your audience, right? Like there's an article put out from Blue Cove in April of 2021 that I still reference. And it talks about where video comes into play in the buyer's journey. And it was focused on B2B. I think it was a fantastic one. I should have shared it with you.
Yeah, we'll include a link in the show notes for sure.
But this thing talks about, and they took a bunch of surveys, and it was like 80 to 90% of people are now looking for video as their confirmation source. So if I go to your website, you might have video embeds on there, but how many people have like YouTube video embeds? But how many people are putting up just naturally embedded videos? Because it's not normally good practice, page speed, things like that if you're really into SEO. But there are some really neat things that you should be doing if you're doing that. But a lot of people are going from the website to, do these people know what they're talking about? If so, let me go and let me hit your channel page. And if your channel page and that's your storefront, somebody goes there and you've just got like videos and popular videos and like you're not offering up anything, it's like you are now limiting their capabilities of what they're able to find. I want that channel page to look good. I want it to be able to say, hey, this screams authority. Like I know myself, and I don't want to speak from my experience because like this is not everybody's, but I'll go from there. I'll find that YouTube page. I want to go see what's on there. I want to see like what they're about. Do these people actually know what they're talking about? So it very much is, and we found this out this year quite heavily, is that a lot of people are going there. It's like, okay, well, you talk about you offer X, Y, and Z, and there's a bunch of articles, but I mean, how many people are going to read 5 articles, right? But if I can click on your YouTube page and see that you have videos that actually talk about what you're claiming you know about, that video journey is much better for people to get into, especially when we start talking about younger demographics.
Yeah, I have a 11 and almost 13-year-old, and I mean it's literally all they do. Right? They play Minecraft and they watch YouTube of people playing Minecraft, and it's just like, this is who we're going to be selling to in a few years.
Yes.
Okay. So getting back to it. Okay, so search, right, and search intent goes to the web page. Then they say, are these people for real? And they validate you or verify you on YouTube. Totally makes sense. That's how I buy. Are they then like opening another tab in the browser and going to YouTube and typing in your brand name? Or you mentioned things you can do on the page to kind of encourage that interlinking and interaction. For us as a brand, what's the strategy to say like, cool, check us out on YouTube. You'll love what you see there.
Yeah. So I think like if you have stuff linked within articles or just your footer, obviously, and you definitely want to make sure those links open up in a new tab. You don't want to have to make them go back and forth. But yeah, you go to the channel page, and the difference that I see, I'll tell you, you can never speak in definitive in numbers on YouTube because it's all relative, but I do want to give a little bit of insight and things that I've seen. I've seen a lot of numbers. If you go to your traffic source right now and your channel page CTR, for a lot of businesses, it's probably like 2 to 2.5, maybe 3 if you're lucky. That's bad. You can go look at that right now. And most businesses are going to find that it's going to be down that far, barring there's enough impressions to justify that data. A good channel page, I almost call this the 5. Normally, for an average channel, we're not talking like Mr. Beast style channel, but an average channel is going to have like 5% of their traffic come from the channel page. And they're normally going to have around a 5% click-through rate if they've constructed it well. Really good pages and pages that are dedicated more towards like learning how-to stuff, those will generally be higher. But you're normally going to find like when you start to cross that threshold, like there's a difference in the way the channel behaves. There's a difference in the way it means that if I watch, and it's not always from outside, don't get me wrong. Normally, if you think about this, if you click on a video and you're on YouTube, you're normally going to go to the channel page. Ooh, what else do they have? If like the end screen didn't tickle your fancy, then you're going to go there and you're going to be like, all right, what else do they have? And if you don't have that constructed in a way, you've lost an immediate return viewer. And I can tell you a return viewer is everything on YouTube. So it kind of goes into both elements, right? It's like if we're talking search as the start of the funnel, make sure it's constructed well. If they start on YouTube, make sure that when they get there on that channel page, like everything, the channel page is so important. And it's like, I don't want to put too much emphasis on it, but I hate that nobody puts emphasis on it. So I'm like embellishing a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so each of these sections, if you're going to be putting this on screen, each of these sections are shelves, right? So we've got a trailer. I'm unsubscribed. Okay. Yeah. Pretend I'm coming to your channel for the first time. I want to know what your channel's about. Am I going to watch a 10-minute video? Yes or no? No. Probably not. Those trailers better be snappy and to the point. They autoplay. There's no way to turn off autoplay. But if I have to go and pause that and I see it's a 10-minute video, that's permanently paused and I will never watch it again. The end. I don't like, there's going to be some people that will watch it. Don't get me wrong. But as a new user who's never seen your channel and for people that don't know, you can set up a channel trailer for people who haven't subscribed and returning subscribers. So you can change the trailer based on status. So we focus on new people to the channel. So 10-minute video, not watching. The title of the first chapter is called intro. I'm definitely not watching that. Okay. Never use the word intro in chapters. It implies zero value and just niceties. That's a whole different conversation. Second part, popular videos, good or bad. Maybe most people just want to show off, right? It's like, well, hey, we've got these videos that a lot of people enjoy. Do I need to keep going? Okay, there we go. It's up now. Yeah. Popular videos. It's normally a good shelf to keep up, but it's based on, we're not controlling like the type of content that we're presenting to people. Your most popular video is 5 years ago. I don't consider that relevant anymore. Mm-hmm. It might be, but if I see 5 years as that, I got to think like, will somebody think that this video from 5 years ago is popular, or should I give them an updated version of this that is a little bit better packaged and a little bit better video? I don't like to surface old content unless I know it's completely evergreen and still valuable. But the older it gets, the less valuable it becomes for 99% of cases. So I'm probably changing that. Then I'm going to go back through and I'm going to go through advanced analytics, pull some numbers, figure out what type of playlist I'm making. And this is why it's good to plan out content so that you always know like what your playlists are going to be made of, what control you have. Shorts. I will never click on shorts on your channel page. They put this here because they didn't have a tab a long time ago when they first introduced shorts. Okay. Now they added a tab up at the top. So you got home video, shorts, live podcasts, etc. And they just made another change to that just a few weeks before this podcast to where if you don't have anything in those sections, they won't show up. So it's less cluttered, which is nice. Okay. But I don't care about shorts here. There's a missed opportunity for valuable content that somebody's coming here for. Multiple playlists. I have no idea what's in these playlists. One of them is 53 episodes, one of them is 21 episodes, one of them is 32 episodes. I'm sorry if this sounds mean, but it has to be honest.
No, this is why we do it. Yeah, otherwise I would keep my head in the sand.
In the customization section of your YouTube studio, you can choose which playlists go here instead of multiple playlists. I want to be able to construct those playlists, right? Elementor for seriously simple podcasting. Why wouldn't we break that out as an individual one? I'm going to find my most popular content via a playlist that's going to be closely related, right? Okay. So I'm going to go through what videos make sense. How can I put this in there? And that's what I'm going to do. The videos shelf. This is if you're lazy. I'm going to say this one's a 50-50. And when I do have it, I generally have it like third or fourth in the list on the shelf. Which is where you're at now, just so like people that are curious, they can see like how active have you been, like, you know, what have you had recently. So I think that one's okay. But generally speaking, we're tearing this whole thing down, new trailer, surfacing 2 playlists, probably in the first and second slot on here that make sense, that are carefully constructed. You could put popular videos if it made sense, but in this case, I don't think it does. We're removing popular videos, we're removing shorts, we're removing multiple playlists, and we have videos. We keep the information valuable We keep it simple, and we make sure that it's recognizable as soon as we get there. I just realized you had Rand Fishkin on here. I followed Rand when I first got into website SEO so many years ago. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude. He's a great dude. Okay, cool. So can we contrast this with a homepage that you think is really good?
I'm going to think of an option that doesn't jeopardize my NDAs.
What about Ahrefs?
Ahrefs has been.
Hey everyone, my name is Samo, and welcome.
I think in the I can't believe that.
Yeah, so this is a good one.
I think in the
if you go there,
sort of
SEO
SaaS
tutorials,
B2B world, they're kind of some of the best. So let's talk about this one so we can sling some mud somewhere else.
So they're capitalizing on something of a super popular video. For this one, I think it's okay given their brand. We know what Ahrefs offers. If I don't know what Castos offers. Like, you're not a household name in the industry the way Ahrefs is. Like Ahrefs is just massive, right? So they can get away with pretty much anything. So that's the way I look at that. But if you go down here,
and I mean, just for folks listening, this is a 2-hour long video.
And this is like something that offers up that they know has like good conversions and things like that. They can get away with it.
Yeah.
On the next part, it's SEO tutorial series. This is something that I see a lot, and there's different ways. And there's one company, I'm going to see if I can reference, but they do educational content. They're B2C. However, they're like, hey, this is this. Like, if you're new, start here. And then they'll have a little arrow. And it's like so engaging, right? It's like, so like, hey, I'm presenting something because I know who my audience is that's coming here. Like, the people that are coming to Ahrefs, like, my brother's been in internet marketing and SEO for 23 years now. He's not coming to Ahrefs to watch tutorial series, right? Like, he's just going to show up on like what the browse hits and what he's subscribed for and any new videos they come up with that might catch his eye. He will not come to the channel page and click on this. So Ahrefs would know the audience that they're appealing to. Most people that are going to Ahrefs are learning about them for the first time or trying to figure out what they're about. This is why like these types of constructed playlists work so well. Even though they're not all the most popular video, I would probably like reorder some of the stuff that they have. But then they go down to the next playlist, big SEO tutorials. And again, they understand their audience and who they're constructing these playlists for. They put the most popular one first because they know who that audience is. And then the third one, SEO tips, tricks, and strategies. They're actually one of the people that I reference all the time for YouTube SEO because they did something really tricky for getting on Google search with their video. And then below that, like I said, the videos one is like a 50-50, and that's it. This is how it would be done. I mean, I didn't review this beforehand, but trailer, playlist targeted at their audience, another playlist targeted, a third one that's going to be there that is available, and then moving on to videos, and then they're done. That's it. Like, they gave you the information for each different audience that they're going to be looking at. Yeah.
Interesting. No shorts for as active a channel as they have. That's interesting.
I'm totally okay with that for Ahrefs.
Cool. I mean, I totally put you on the spot, but that was super helpful. One thing I rant about just in general is like shallow advice. And so I'm really glad we did that because it makes me feel terrible about myself, but I'm going to go rip all that apart and make it feel better. But I mean, all the folks that are listening are now going to I think those two examples are really good abstractions of what most folks should be able to do with their channel. So I love that. I have a practical question about how we do that, especially around playlists. Looks like I need to just kind of rip apart most of my playlists. Does that do bad things to kind of YouTube SEO if I have a bunch of kind of orphaned videos that were previously a part of a playlist, or I want to just start a new playlist because that's cleaner? Is that all cool?
Yeah, you can get rid of that. You are 100% okay. There is some things that I would just say that when you are working on this is just general information. Again, I would go much deeper into these things. But if you are looking to construct playlist, you look at things that, because you can set a featured video as your number one. Find your top performer that has a good thumbnail, good title, all that stuff. That's your number one. But when you're looking for things, look through click-through rates, average watch time, or average percent viewed, so that you know that if they watch that video, will they make it to the second one? And most importantly, there is a metric buried in advanced analytics called average views per viewer. This is how many videos somebody watches after the first initial view. And if that video helps bring people back, that's normally one that you want to get there, because it's like, there was either a CTA in this video, or the video was so good that it brought back an immediate return viewer. And those are normally some key points that I look for.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Regarding the older content, we have quite a few pieces in there from a few years ago, more than 3 years ago. Do you just redo them? Do you delete the old ones? Do you keep everything around? What's the strategy for like evergreen content? But it's been 3 years. I mean, a good example of this that I see is, like, I've been researching YouTube a lot, and I look at the Primal Video guys, right? They've been doing this a long time, and they have a bunch of camera reviews from 5 years ago. Like, I'm just never going to watch it. And in a way, to me, it's like, is it still relevant? Are these guys still relevant? Those two things happen in my mind at the same time. So are you better off to say nothing older than 3 years, even if it performed well, and I'll just make a new version of it? Or do you just keep the old stuff and make a new version too?
You can keep the old stuff.
Okay.
I love remaking stuff. One thing that I would really encourage SaaS companies to explore. This is probably the number one thing that I could give people for video content. If you make long form content in 2023 really took off for YouTube. So I'm talking 20, 30 minute plus videos. If you want to make content on YouTube as a SaaS company, don't be afraid to make those long videos, and then think about those videos. And you can look at this in two different directions, right? If in that video I have like 10 parts, and I'm like, this video is complete a project from beginning to end, that video holds such long-term tremendous value. And within that part, there's probably 10, 15 sections of, like, if we were doing chapters, take out those individual chapters, figure out what you could make a 5 to 8 minute video on. So you would remake that part, but you would hyper focus on that and add more additional value and detail. This is the way, like, if you want to have people find that evergreen content, don't be afraid to make those long form videos. And then if you're looking for a video strategy, a really cheap one, is very effective, just make that 5 to 8 minute segment in that video, turn it into a 5 minute video that you can add value to. Yeah. That way you have like individual chunks from those. I think that's one way to handle like evergreen content that can last for a long time, but then you can remake parts of that content down the road. And then you can always call back to it if it's still relevant. So it's like, if I make this video a year later, is that video still relevant? It's like, hey, if you did this part of it, you might want to check out the full thing, check out this video here. And that way you keep that video relevant. It stays around, especially if it's search-based content.
Yeah. Yeah. We're proponents of a similar model with like podcasting on YouTube, which is there's the long form stuff, right? This will be 45 minutes. There's shorts. We'll pull a few shorts just for social media mostly. And then I call them mids, right? It's the Joe Rogan thing, right? So you and I'll talk for 45 minutes. If there's a 5 minute section in there, like, we'll just pull that chunk out and publish it as a separate video. But what you're saying is not that, but I go record, instead of 5 minutes, a 10-minute version of that topic where I go in a little more depth and jazz it up a little bit.
I actually stopped working with podcast channels on YouTube because so many people refuse to do that part. I'm like, then your channel will never succeed. Like, you will. If you're just trying to grow like 1 hour podcast, like, good luck. I'll see you in 5 years.
Tell me.
But you have to break out those segments for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. On that topic, are there any maybe kind of quick tips you would give podcast YouTube channels? Like, oh, none of them are doing this, or they're all doing this wrong. Like couple quick ones.
You probably know this person, but one of the people that has done really well to change the game, Jay Klaus from Creators.
He was on our Creative Architect show. Yeah. Yeah.
He has really done that well with how they structure and sell that. Never label anything a podcast. Like, if you're breaking out, like, I don't care that it's a podcast. If you label it a podcast episode, anything, you might as well just like never make the video. Like, never, ever do that. That is like, that's a killer one. Just name it something fun, take something out of it. Definitely always make clips and segments. One of the most compelling things, and I think this was, so I don't really listen to the Joe Rogan podcast, but those clips will show up, and there's one, and I love using this one for podcasters. He had a UFC fighter on there, and the UFC fighter's manager. I have no idea who that guy is. I have no clue. I still to this day have no idea what his name is. I just know him from the thumbnail because he's on there. And they start that clip with one of the most compelling openers, and it's about how he survived in prison. Mm-hmm. And he's just like, yeah, so I'm on my way. Cut in at the moment, almost like at the start of the conversation. So if you walked into a conversation, you don't walk in too late. You don't walk in while they're saying, oh, hey, man, good to see you again. How's life been? Nobody cares. Just get into that part. Find the start of that compelling moment. That's what a lot of people, they just have trouble identifying that. And then sell it like a regular YouTube video. Just don't act like it's a podcast. Act like it's a video. Act like you're bringing them something. You just introduce somebody to the coolest part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way you will get visibility on your podcast. Instead of trying to use your podcast to get visibility on your long form, use your long form to get reference on the podcast. That's like the hardest part. And so many people are unwilling to make those clips, or they don't understand that concept, or they don't want to put the investment into thumbnails for those clips. And that's why I stopped working with podcasts.
I was chatting with my buddy Spencer Hawes. He runs Niche Pursuits, but you SEO, you know him, I'm sure. About should we take long form podcasts off our main channels? And I said yes, right? Because and Matt, that was on our team previously, said yes, because it's, I think, a difference in viewer intent, right? A person who comes to watch a 45-minute video is very different than comes to watch a tutorial about how to use our product or how to be a good podcaster or something like that, because they'll watch the 3-minute bit that's a segment of a longer episode, but they're not going to watch the whole thing. Agree, disagree, crazy, not necessary, maybe even, like it's not going to hurt you if it's there.
Last year, I would have said remove them. YouTube added the podcast tab in March. That complicated things.
Yeah.
I would still say you have to really know your audience. Like if you do have other like how-to videos or anything like that and a podcast on one channel, absolutely separate them. There's no way that somebody's going to find a how-to video and then go watch your podcast. That's just
exactly. Yeah, that was my point. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say if that's the case, separate them.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the Castos channel, we have, we have both right now, and it's obviously terrible. We're going to be moving them. So we have, how to be a good podcaster, how to do a good intro, how to promote on social media. Then we also have how to connect your podcast to Spotify with Castos and how to enable automatic transcriptions and all that. So like they're just separate, two different 100%. Types of people. And so we have several podcasts we call our network Castos Originals. And so we're going to start a Castos Originals channel and just move all of our stuff over there.
Are they different topics?
Right. Yeah, they're different topics, right? I mean, yeah, the all of our podcasts are kind of what I would call like success, educational entertainment success, whereas all of our videos are either talking head, me, or screen sharing how to record a podcast with QuickTime or how to use this thing with our tool. Okay, so I'm starting a new channel. Has almost nothing on it right now. As I look at how to put together a video, we talked about multiple videos. So as I looked at how to put together a video, like what's the blueprint, any resources like that you've published, what's the go-to resource there?
Yeah. So this is my number one advice that I give to all businesses, because they look at YouTube as a resource to get business. They don't think about what YouTube actually is. And that's an audience of people that are there to watch videos. We referenced this earlier. They're there for free content. 99% of people do not care about your business. They care about what you're going to give them. 1% of those people maybe will care about getting something or buying something from you. So if you want your videos to succeed, you have to be able to give somebody something and then get them to stay on YouTube or get them to return for more valuable stuff that you have. So the way that works is we treat the intro of a video the same way that you, like if you're going out and watching any other YouTube video, you treat it the same way. I don't care about asking you to subscribe. I don't care about telling you that you're part of my business. The number one thing that I remember taking away, I was working on a script with a guy a few years ago. He owned an SEO agency, and he's like, I've owned an SEO agency for 20 years. And in my experience, I've done this. And it's about like how to get more conversions during Zoom calls. It was big during COVID, obviously. And I'm like, you watch the retention graph at the beginning. Nobody cares about you. Yeah. They don't care about your experience. They don't care about anything else. Like, am I in the right place? Am I watching the right video? Okay?
Is this for me?
No, this is literally every business.
No, I mean the person, the viewer should be saying, "Is
this for me?" Is am I in the right place? If you turn this around, and I say this, I'm going to show you 5 ways on how to convert more people or more clients in Zoom calls that I've learned in my 20 years of experience at running an SEO agency. I put audience first, me second.
Yeah.
Audience first, business second. So you take that entire concept, the way that you do the video, think about what they want. I don't care about your business. I literally do not care about your business until the last 10 seconds of the video. You can maybe sell me something in the middle if you know what you're doing, but never sell somebody something in the first half. Don't do that. You get through the video, you deliver that valuable information, and the same thing goes for an outro. You either have a CTA of, hey, if you found this video helpful, make sure and like it. But the minute you use any type of concluding language, you're going to have audible cues or visual cues, and you're on a timer. So how can I get them to, how can I end the video as quickly as possible while delivering enough information and selling them something? Because if you look at any video, the first part of the video is the biggest decline, the second part, or the outro is the second biggest decline. So if I'm going to do this, I take the same concept, audience first, business second. So that outro turns into, getting your podcast together through equipment is great, but make sure and check out this video here on making sure that your lighting's good. And if you're looking for a way to get custom help for your business, make sure and check out the link in the description below. And that sounds entirely different if I flip-flop them, because most people are there because they want free information. But the minute I put my business first, think about it. You're watching a video. So anyways, it was great being on this podcast. Done. People are gone. People have left the podcast. Yeah. They don't care. Yeah. Like you will lose like 10% of people in like 5 seconds because they don't care. So you take that same concept, because if I turn it right around, it's like, hey, if you're looking for help with your business, make sure and check out the link in the description below. Also sign up for our newsletter, yada, yada. And that audience that would click on the next video, they're the ones that are going to help your video go to another person, because a return viewer on YouTube is so important. Like it's performance based. And if you put your business before YouTube, now all of a sudden you've lost like 20% of the people. Nobody's going to hear that CTA for another video. They might come back if they see your video on the homepage, but they probably won't. You're normally going to get like a 3 to 5% click-through rate as a business if you're lucky. And so now you've alienated an entire audience and you've ruined your channel because you put your business first. Just put the YouTube audience first in so many different ways. Make sure they're in the right place. Give them the information. Give them something else to go there. If you don't have something else, ask them for a like and then give them something. Yeah. But do not put your business first. That's like the number one thing that I have to completely change the psyche of businesses that think I'm here to make money and I'm going to do it through SEO. And I'm like, I'll see you next week. And we're probably done after that because it's not going to work. Like it's tough. It's very tough. And YouTube is a tough space for business. There's no need to make it more difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to kind of double click on that. So totally like just go watch a Mr. Beast video or any of those like gaming videos. They are great at this. At the first 2 seconds, deliver what you're going to get out of this video, what's going to happen, and then they cut to it. Maybe then you can introduce yourself after the intro bit or something. And at the end, you're saying, hey, if you enjoyed this, you're going to love that. Go check that out. If you want more, a link in the description below. Resources, help them on their way.
Yes. And
just give up entirely the like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. If you don't have a video CTA, ask for a like. There's a whole big reason I could go into that. Okay. Let's just say I've looked at a lot of numbers. Else give them to another video. What's interesting about that, this is a little tidbit when we talk about SEO. If you want SEO in your video, it exists within the video, not just your title and your description and your tags.
Yeah.
If you watch most how-to videos, they verbally say the exact keyword phrase at the start of their videos. People that rank number 1 generally say, I'm going to show you how to do X, Y, Z within the first. And there's some tinfoil hat stuff I could go into with the way that they analyze the first 7 to 8 seconds due to advertiser guidelines. And they reference the first 8 seconds a lot in those videos. But your transcript is your SEO also. So don't be afraid to say what your video is about, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
Or just come up with a killer hook.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I love it. We're definitely gonna have you back on for after I get my shit together. We'll have you back on for a postmortem.
Well, look at that.
I'd love to share how the channel does after we implement some of this, because we're gonna hang up and I'm gonna go do a bunch of stuff to rip apart our channel. Josh, for folks who want to like learn more about you and check out your stuff and maybe work with you on YouTube stuff, like where's the best place?
Yeah. Twitter X, Real Josh Howard. I'm on there. I'm starting to get a lot more traction. Some of my links are on there, or my website. So it's jhowonline.com.
Awesome. So we'll link to both those in the show notes / description below. Josh, this is like, honestly, like one of the best interviews I've ever done. Thank you so much. This was really, well, really awesome. I learned a ton, and I think everyone else will too, because it's like really, really applicable and practical for everyone. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity of being on here and reaching out. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. What a great conversation with Josh. I hope you enjoy. If you're enjoying this, we have links to everything mentioned down below in the description. And as always, give us a like.